Good morning, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Frustrated to Freedom. I'm Bill Morrow, and I'm going to guide you on your way to the next section of learning how to get from frustrated to freedom. So the message this morning and the talk is belief in your future. Now, when we talk about future and things like that, we think about the world around us and everything. But what I want you to think about is your intention, your journey, where you're going and what you're going to do. And that, in fact, is everything that your future holds for you. Your mindset is exactly what it is. Now, the mind is a brilliant thing, and some of us disregard it. We don't even think about what's going on around us. Now, when I started off in the electronics industry, I had engineers around me who could think and solve problems at a time seemed unbelievable. Now, when you look at things like this, your telephone, which we all have around us, now, when that started off, it was similar to this in size, and this was it. We used to call this the brick. And that's what it looked like. Motorola, and that was it, the brick. Now, it started off and it evolved, and eventually you got to what we've got now, this sort of thing. We started off, I was involved in the testing of all this equipment and all these integrated circuits, and they started off with 100 components on a chip. And that within a couple of years there was 100,000 on a chip of the same size, and that size kept getting smaller and smaller, and the cycle kept getting more involved and more integrated all the time. And it was literally what the engineers were able to come up with was thoughts on how can we get from here to there. And it just evolved all the time. But they had the mindset that, yes, we can solve this. What's the problem? Right, this is how to do it. And away they go. And if you look now, evolution, where we have come from. Now, we're not going into all sorts of deep thoughts and everything else, but briefly, it's a case of we came from the caves, we learned by getting into groups for protection and everything else. And we learned all about learning information from each other, how the hunters, gatherers and so forth did things. Then the blokes came along and made fire and everything else, and then we learned about electricity, all about built bridges. We started going up, we started going down, all of these things, and it all comes from the mind, the brain. Keep the body going, remember, the car, the brain, and the steering wheel, which is the mind. Mine's in my left foot, remember? Have you found yours yet? So we go on from there, and the whole thing is the belief in your future. And right from the very start, we had belief. We learned from school everything that was put in front of us. We learned a little bit from it, and then we started to take action on those things, and that was our mindset evolving at those stages. So when we started off, we had primitive things, and as we go on, things are improving all the time. Now, I can get into my car and I can talk to my car. That sounds a bit weird. You've round the twist. No, not yet. The reception, the way things have progressed, you have talking clocks. My mother had one of these, and she used to detest it, the fact that it would talk back to her. But she'd asked it a question, what time is it? And the clock would answer. You can have the same sort of thing. Eventually your phones you won't have to answer the phone, it will simply just talk to you. And these things are going on. So the car, I can now get in and tell the car what temperature I want in the car and various things like that. Simple little things, but everything starts at the first step. Remember, we're climbing the mountain one step at a time, and then you get confidence in what's happening, you get more information, you get involved in the whole situation, and then we go on from there. So your future is the belief in where you're going and what you're going to do. And all we know and are confident in, dreams, thoughts, they become number two, which is making the plan of how you want to travel, go, solve the problem, whatever it might be. That's number two. And number three is the action we take. And it's that action that defines who you are. And that's the definition you've got to think about. And yes, the other point is, do you know the meaning of life? This question has been going on since time began. The Romans, why did the Roman Empire disappear? The Egyptian, why did the Egyptian Empire disappear? All this, the Greeks, all these sorts of things. Now, your children coming out of school, when they learn, they're learning sometimes on the protest, but they learn what some of these giants of theology and mental attitude learnt in their day, and now your children come out with the same sort of knowledge that they actually in a lifetime produced. So that in itself means the learning process is going on all the time. And to us, the learning process is here, getting over the problems, everything else, in the action stage. And to me, in the process, I have learned the meaning of life. Yes, my friends, the meaning of life. That's a big thing to say. So what is the meaning of life? It is simply learning, and passing that information on to others. So these great people who learned, they passed their information on. That was their legacy, and your legacy is mine. I'm learning and passing the information on to you. And the big thing is, this is where it all comes down to, the mindset. And that's the progress of your future. And your future is exactly that. So I've gone on too long. So mental process, think, decide what you're going to do, make your plan, and 3, take action. All the best. Have a good day. Bye. See you in the next version.